Imagine a book, an enigmatic text that nearly 1,300 years ago revealed truths only uncovered by science and technology between the 19th and 20th centuries, specifically from 1850 to 1900. This book stands apart because it wasn't composed by referencing any other text. You might argue that someone with an exceptional level of knowledge could predict certain discoveries in advance. But this book doesn't confine itself to a single field of science. It spans astronomy, mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, meteorology, ecology, embryology, zoology, geology, and many more disciplines. Astonishingly, the author of this book was unable to read or write. What would you make of such a claim? You could dismiss it outright or consider it a true miracle. And that's precisely what I aim to highlight. Until 1924, the scientific community adhered to a single theory, that the universe was static and eternal. This view was upheld by thinkers such as the Greek philosopher Aristotle, the Italian philosopher and astronomer Giordano Bruno, the astronomer Galileo, and even Isaac Newton, often referred to as the father of modern science. However, in 1924, Russian physicist Alexander Friedmann and Belgian cosmologist Georges Lemaitre provided theoretical evidence that the universe is neither static nor unchanging. It is in constant motion and expanding. Then, in 1929, American astronomer Edwin Hubble, using a telescope to observe the heavens, discovered that stars and galaxies are continuously moving away from each other. This revelation revolutionized scientific understanding. An expanding universe implies that everything within it is perpetually moving apart. To visualize this phenomenon, imagine a balloon with dots drawn on its surface. As the balloon inflates, the dots move farther apart. Similarly, celestial bodies drift apart as the universe expands. Remarkably, this scientific fact was mentioned in this mysterious book, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, "We constructed the heaven with power, and indeed we are its expander." This declaration was made over a millennium before the telescope was invented in 1608, and long before Edwin Hubble's discoveries, 1,300 years ago. Would you like to hear something even more astonishing? Do you know how much a cloud weighs? Is it heavy or light? Clouds are often imagined as light and fluffy like cotton. Yet a single average-sized cloud with a volume of 100 cubic kilometers can weigh up to 50 million kilograms. For example, rainfall covering an area of 50 square kilometers with a thickness of 1 centimeter would weigh approximately 500,000 tons. Perhaps you're thinking, I didn't know that. Don't worry. Meteorologists only discovered this in 1920 with the invention of the radio sonde. But this mysterious book spoke of it 1,300 years ago, where it says, "It is he who shows you the lightning, causing fear and hope, and he produces heavy clouds." And there's more. In the field of embryology, this book mentions, "He creates you in the wombs of your mothers, creation after creation, within 3 darknesses." It wasn't until 1971, with the invention of ultrasound technology, and 1974, when it was applied in embryology, that scientists discovered that the embryo develops within 3 layers of darkness: the abdominal wall, the uterine wall, and the amniotic sac. Yet this book disclosed this fact 1,350 years ago. Additionally, the book speaks of iron, the 26th element in the periodic table, stating that it was sent down from the heavens. How could this be possible? Isn't iron found within the earth? The answer is both yes and no. Yes, we extract iron from the ground for our use, but its true origin is far more extraordinary. For the element iron to form, an extremely intense heat is required. For instance, Earth's core reaches a temperature of about 6,000 degrees Celsius. However, even such temperatures are insufficient for the formation of iron on our planet. Even at the surface of the Sun, which is about 6,000 degrees Celsius, or its core, where temperatures rise to approximately 15 million degrees Celsius, the formation of iron remains impossible. This element can only be produced in stars much larger than the Sun, where temperatures reach several hundred million degrees. According to astronomical observations, when the amount of iron in these stars, known as novas or supernovas, exceeds a certain threshold, the star can no longer withstand the weight and eventually explodes. These explosions disperse the formed iron into space. While modern science has only recently discovered these facts, this mysterious book referenced them 1,300 years ago, stating, "And we sent down iron, wherein is great military might and benefits for the people." This verse alludes to scientific truths that humanity uncovered centuries later, such as the protective function of the atmosphere, discovered in 1932, the theory of continental drift, 1912, the orbits of planets, 1605, the spherical shape of the Earth, 1512, the role of female worker bees in honey production, the weaving of webs by female spiders, the impermeability of seas due to surface tension, and the existence of male and female genders in plants. These revelations, delivered over 1,300 years ago in a time devoid of advanced science or technology, raise an important question. How could a man, living in a desert void of scientific knowledge, at a time when even Europe lacked learning centers, akin to those in Muslim Andalusia, present such a book? This man, known to be illiterate, an assertion confirmed by both his companions and his adversaries, produced a text of such profound depth. Two possibilities arise. Either this man possessed such extraordinary foresight that he could predict scientific discoveries made 1,300 years later, an assumption that would elevate him to a divine status, contradicting both reason and faith. Or we acknowledge that the truths contained in this book cannot be the product of human effort. They are miracles revealed through divine power, specifically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As you may have deduced, this mysterious book is none other than the Qur'an. When discussing the scientific miracles within the Qur'an, certain questions or critiques often arise. One of the main criticisms is, religious scholars claim that such and such a verse contains this information, but they interpret it in this way only after scientists have made the discovery. This implies that the interpretations of the verses are retroactively adjusted. However, this claim is completely unfounded. For instance, the expansion of the universe was discovered by scientists in 1929. Yet long before this discovery, Muslim scholars such as Muqatil ibn Suleiman, d. 767, Ibn Zayd Zejjaj, d. 922, Tabari, d. 993, Fakhr al-Din al-Razi, d. 1210, Ibn Kathir, d. 1373, and Abu Sud Effendi, d. 1574, had already interpreted verse 47 of Surah Az-Zariyat as referring to the expansion of the universe. These scholars understood this concept centuries before modern science confirmed it, once again highlighting the miraculous nature of the Qur'an. When scientists discovered the Earth's spherical shape in 1512, many Muslim scholars had already addressed this topic centuries earlier. Scholars like Imam al-Ghazali, dato 1111, Ibn Humam, dato 1457, Fakhr al-Islam, 11th century, Imam al-Shafi'i, dato 20, Sayyid Sharif al-Jurjani, dato 1413, and Sa'd ad-Din al-Taftazani, d. 1389, affirmed in their works that the earth is round. Additionally, Ibrahim Haqi alayhi salam, in his book Marifat Nameh, even drew diagrams illustrating the earth's spherical shape. Thus, the claim that religious scholars were unaware of these facts prior to scientific discoveries is incorrect. Another frequently asked question is, science is constantly evolving. What if a new discovery were to contradict a verse of the Qur'an that you currently present as a scientific miracle? This question stems from a misunderstanding of the multiple layers of meaning within the Qur'an. Each Qur'anic verse contains levels of meaning such as explicit indication, sarahat, implication, dalalat, allusion, isharat, and symbolism, remis. Take, for example, verse 25 of Surah Al-Hadid, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "And we sent down iron, wherein is great military might and benefits for the people." The explicit meaning of this verse is to highlight the significance of iron as a major blessing, essential for humanity. Without iron, the supernova explosions necessary for the Earth's formation would not have occurred. There would be no atmosphere, hydrosphere, or Earth's magnetic field to protect life. The ozone layer, shielding us from ultraviolet rays, would not exist. Even hemoglobin in human blood, vital for oxygen transport, would not be possible. Thus, iron is an immense blessing sent down by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When the verse states that iron was sent down, it signifies not only a divine blessing, but also a celestial origin. Later, science confirmed that iron indeed originates from supernova explosions, dispersed across the universe before reaching Earth. This aligns with a secondary level of meaning, a scientific implication embedded within the verse. However, even if future discoveries were to refute certain aspects of a scientific interpretation of a Quranic verse, this would not diminish the explicit and fundamental meaning of the verse. It would merely indicate that our scientific understanding was incomplete or in need of revision. A recurring question is, why aren't scientific discoveries explicitly mentioned in the Qur'an? The answer lies in the very nature of the Qur'an. It is a divine book focused on four primary themes: Tawheed, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala; Nubuwwah, prophethood; Haqqa, resurrection; justice and worship; Al-Adl wa Al-Ibadah. Whenever the Quran references the universe, stars, flowers, or human beings, it is always to emphasize one of these central themes. Thus, the Quran's purpose is not to serve as a scientific manual, but to invite humanity to ponder, reflect, and recognize the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His creation. For example, when Bediüzzaman describes the Quran, he defines it as a book of prayer, a book of wisdom, a book of worship, a book of commands, a book of invitation, a book of remembrance, and a book of reflection. At no point does he describe it as a scientific book. Why? Because the Quran is not a science textbook. The primary subject of the Quran is not science in and of itself. It simply alludes to scientific discoveries as evidence of its miraculous nature. Asking, why doesn't the Quran explicitly discuss science, is akin to asking why a mathematics textbook doesn't delve into literature, a question that misses the point entirely. When modern science uncovers truth that the Quran mentioned centuries ago, it further affirms the accuracy of Bediüzzaman alayhi salam's statement. As time progresses, the Quran grows younger. This means that despite being revealed over 1,400 years ago, the Quran retains its relevance and timeliness, even in an era of rapid human advancement and technological progress. The Quran transcends time and continues to guide humanity, proving through its miracles that it is indeed a divine revelation.